is an informative speech about the new North Carolina voter laws. My purpose is to inform all North Carolina voters of what these laws are and how they may affect you. First, I'm going to identify the new voter laws. I'm going to talk about who is affected, how they are affected, and give arguments both for and against the new voter laws. And then I'm going to end by giving you some statistics. North Carolina voter laws, a lot of people think it's just implementing a voter, an ID, and making you show an ID card before you can vote. But it actually has a lot. It's a 49-page bill. It ends same-day registration. It cuts early voting from 17 days to 10 days. It ends pre-registration for 16 and 17-year-olds. It allows more poll watchers to come from different areas and within the same county, but from a broader range in the county, to challenge ballots. It eliminates straight ticket voting. The absentee ballots are easier to access. They will be online. And you don't have to show an ID for the absentee ballots, and it will allow county officials to hand deliver the absentee ballots to disabled voters. And the campaign funds are going to be increased from $4,000 to $5,000. There will be an unlimited amount of money between the May primaries and September, and the parties will no longer need to disclose the source of money that they receive. Essentially, everybody that's a voter is affected by these laws. Everybody is going to be required to show an ID, which will prevent election fraud. And people think that this has been one of the most controversial issues. However, there's a clause in there that will allow people to get free IDs. Mainly for the clause was implemented mainly for older citizens, blind, and homeless citizens, but it's available to anybody. The controversial issues with these laws are that there are parties that believe that laws are discriminatory against minorities, in which they have the burden of proof in those lawsuits. And there are the people who are arguing for these new laws are saying that it prevents election fraud, and they're saying that, especially over the voter ID issue, that it cannot be illegal when over 30 states already have this law implemented. These are some of the statistics as it compares the 2008 election with the 2013 voting. So this is as of November 9th, 2013. And voting since then, since 2008, has actually increased. The lighter blue is the 2008 and the darker blue is 2013. And so the total voters has increased by about 9.2% since 2008. And so likewise, every demographic, it has a Republican, Democratic, and then white, black, and male, female voters. And every category has increased since the 2008 election. And so there are reports reporters who think that this will hinder people from voting, but it hasn't. The studies show that it hasn't hindered people from voting. So, are there any questions?
Why are people filing lawsuits?
There are people that are filing lawsuits because they think that the laws are discriminatory against minorities. The district lines were redrawn in July, and it moves minority voters into districts that already have a large African American population. And so people think that this is discriminatory against that age group because of the lines that were redrawn. And also because of the same-day registration. Most of that was Democratic, and they think that it favors the Republicans to end the same-day registration. And they think that their right to vote is compromised by requiring an ID to vote. But they have the burden of proof in those lawsuits. Yeah.
Over the last 4 elections, there's been a lot of fraud, and it seems to have increased in the last election tremendously. How are these laws going to cut out voter fraud, people dead coming out of the graves and voting? How's that going to be stopped by these laws?
Because you're going to have to be required to show an ID to vote, and you have to vote in the precinct that you are registered to vote in. So you couldn't show your ID here in Wake County and then go to Johnston County and say you're somebody else, because they're going to also require you to show an ID, and you have to vote in the precinct you're in, and you have to show an ID to vote, so you're not going to be able to use somebody else's name to vote.
In other states that have these laws, has it historically reduced fraud?
It has. The fraud has been significantly decreased by requiring people to show a voter ID when they go to vote. Thank you.
I've got another question. Okay, for 200 years, there's been laws on the books that have stated your age requirement, residency requirement, and now it seems like these laws want to alter, especially a college student that is living in another state and going to school, but yet they want to vote in the state that they're going to school. But residency laws haven't been met, which means they should go back to their old state. What is this law going to do to solve that problem?
I guess you have to re-register in the county that you're going to vote in. You have to re-register or change it. Or have an absentee ballot for the state that you are in.